How much control do you have over your own mind? Do you allow it to just drive you toward what's comfortable for you? Do you allow it to reject the stressors that come into your life? Well, the mind naturally seeks comfort and resists stress. It's a very natural thing. It's not something to get upset about. At the same time, you need to find a way to deal with these limiting tendencies of the mind. And you deal with it through self-leadership, particularly self-leadership of your own mind. And what you're going to do is develop what I call an appropriate relationship with your mind. We're going to look at developing this relationship with the mind through the lens of Crazy Horse. He was a Oglala Lakota Sioux warrior. Two of the best sources for this are Joseph Marshall's book, The Journey of Crazy Horse, and Mary Sandos's book, Crazy Horse, The Strange Man of the Oglalas, which was published in the 1930s. Crazy Horse had four leadership principles. First, know yourself. Second, know your friends. Third, know your enemies. And four, lead the way. We're going to look at each of these through the lens of mental training, and this will create a truer expression of freedom. Crazy Horse lived during the last decades of the Great Sioux Nation in the 1800s. He was famous for leading part of the Sioux tribe in the Battle of the Little Big Horn, where General Custer died. Earlier in his life, when he was about 13 years old, he witnessed an event, a battle that had a big impression on him. And this happened when the Sioux tribe was camped close to Fort Laramie. Fort Laramie was one of the forts along the Oregon Trail. Well, what happened was a visitor to the tribe, another Indian, had killed a cow that a settler owned. Well, the settler went to Fort Laramie and complained about this to Lieutenant Grattan. So Lieutenant Grattan, with a platoon of soldiers, went out to the Sioux tribe and confronted the chief, Conquering Bear, about this event. And he wanted the Conquering Bear to bring that visitor forward so he could be punished. Well, Conquering Bear couldn't explain to Lieutenant Grattan that he didn't have control over the visitors. But Lieutenant Grattan wasn't taking any of this, and so he killed Conquering Bear, and then a battle broke out between the platoon and the rest of the Sioux tribe. All of the soldiers were killed, including Lieutenant Grattan, and many of the Sioux warriors were killed also. Well, this event, this battle, had a big impact on Crazy Horse, and he didn't know how to understand it. So he went on a vision quest for 3 days to get some advice, some guidance, or some direction. He laid in a pit in the ground, no food or water, with just a blanket for protection. But after 3 days, no vision came. So he got up and he started walking down to the lake where his pony was. And then, as he got close to the lake, the vision came. A warrior rode out of the lake on a pony, wearing plain leggings and a plain shirt, with one eagle feather in his long brown hair. He told Crazy Horse he should never wear a war bonnet. He should not paint his pony before going into battle, but he should pass some dust over his pony and himself. If he did this, then he wouldn't be killed. The warrior seemed to float through arrows and bullets while telling this to Crazy Horse. They seemed to disappear before hitting him. Crazy Horse didn't know how to interpret this vision. Several years later, the Great Sioux Nation gathers at Bear Butte to figure out a strategy for dealing with the encroaching white settlers into their hunting grounds. And after that's over, Crazy Horse and his father are traveling alone back to their village, and they camp on the west side of the Black Hills, up on a high hill, looking out into the vast Powder River Basin to the west. This is the sacred hunting grounds of the Sioux Nation. And his father tells Crazy Horse that A young warrior needs to rise up from the tribe to lead the Sioux people during this troubled time. So you can imagine standing on top of that hill, looking into the vastness of the Powder River Basin toward the west. Crazy Horse is looking in there and he feels small and weak in comparison to this vast world. But then his gaze goes toward the horizon where the sky and the earth meet, and he feels connected to something larger, to the world. And this causes a surge of power to rise up in his chest, and he decides to tell his vision to his father. You can imagine that he's starting to see some connection between the vision that he had and the needs of the Sioux Nation right now, and how his father is directing him. And his father says, yes, you've had a great vision here, and it holds certain important responsibilities. His father said that, indeed, he was the man on the horse. He must be the first in the fight to lead. He must do these things even though the path will be dark, dangerous, and unclear. His life purpose would take much trust in the power of the vision. Crazy Horse used the 4 leadership principles to lead his tribe. Know yourself, know your friends, know your enemies, lead the way. Crazy Horse knew himself. He was quiet, gave away his booty, and never celebrated his victories. His peers did the opposite. They would hoard their booty and boast about their victories. Crazy Horse's approach put less emphasis on his ego and more focus on the well-being of his tribe. Crazy Horse knew his friends. He knew who was skilled at tracking, scouting, and fighting. He didn't put someone without these skills in those situations. This helped him create a war party that was more than the sum of the individuals in it. Crazy Horse knew his enemies. The Sioux war strategy was counting coup, getting close to an enemy to prove your bravery. The focus wasn't on killing. The whites focused on killing as many Indians as possible. Crazy Horse learned his enemy's strategy and used it against them. He would lure them out of their forts into ambushes where they could kill as many whites as possible. Crazy Horse led the way. Many tribes accepted reservation life, taking away their livelihood. Crazy Horse refused and decided to take the fight to the enemy. During the Battle of the Little Bighorn with Custer, Crazy Horse was in the lead yelling, "Hoka-hey, it's a good day to die." Dying while free was better than losing his freedom in reservation life. We investigated leadership in 2 previous lessons. In Self-Leadership in a World of Chaos, I introduced Dave Grossman's concept of peace warriors. They give you an example of leading yourself through chaotic life challenges. The infantry motto, "Follow me," gives you a simple directive. In The Need for Elite Training, I introduced the importance of advanced training. To master any skill requires doing more than the basics. Advanced training helps you refine the subtleties of your skill. I highlighted the importance of servicing the world with the skills you've mastered. In this lesson, we're going to look at self-leadership to create what I call an appropriate relationship with the mind. We're creating a mindset of leadership. If you're just following the mind, then you're going to fall victim to its limiting tendencies. You must lead the mind. When you can learn how to do that, then you can live a life truly in the expression of freedom. Who are you? Are you identified with the material possessions you have, like the Sioux warriors? They were like hoarding their booty. Do you boast about your victories? Well, when you do this, you're tying your identity to those material possessions, to those outcomes. And this impacts how you feel about yourself, your self-worth. You feel worthwhile when you have possessions and when you're succeeding, when you have those victories. And you feel worthless when you lose possessions and when you have failures. So you don't have any real freedom when you have your identity tied to these outcomes like this. Now, we explored this who am I question in a previous lesson. What is your ultimate purpose in life? So what you need to do here is you need to operate from this essential aspect of who you are, awareness, and notice when this connection is happening, when you're tying how you feel about yourself to the outcomes or to these material possessions. And then from that noticing, you can break them apart. This creates a gap for to be more aware. It frees attention, and then with freed attention, you truly do have more freedom. Crazy Horse assigned tasks based on the skills his warriors had. Now you can think of the mind has certain friendly qualities also, and you can assign these qualities to help you navigate the challenges in your life. Inspiration moves you toward what resonates with you. This helps you set goals and enhances intrinsic motivation. Curiosity directs your attention to the task. It helps your attention stay in the moment as you work toward your goals. Intuition heightens your awareness while navigating challenges. It improves your ability to integrate relevant information in a timely manner. Knowing these friendly qualities leads toward more freedom. You're freer because you're inspired, because you're curious, because you're tuned in with your intuition to how situations are unfolding. The enemies in the mind are basically anything that's distracting attention. And the main distractor or the main enemy, you might say, is unconsciousness, specifically unconsciousness of the mind's natural tendency to seek comfort. The usual strategy that the mind uses and that you use is using this unconscious tendency to reject stress, to react to stress. So like Crazy Horse, we need to change our strategy. If you don't set inspiring goals, then you're just going to react unconsciously to stress. You don't want to react. You need to respond. And you respond with consciousness and goals. You're conscious of your mind's limiting tendency to seek comfort. And you're conscious that you need to set goals, inspiring goals, to direct that natural comfort-based motivation toward those goals. Nothing wrong with the comfort motivation, that's natural, but you need to give it a direction. This consciousness keeps you alert to these enemies in the mind that distract your attention. And like I said before, with more attention freed, less of it's distracted, that leads toward more freedom. Leading the way is a different mindset than following others. And it's easy to follow others. You can stay unconscious. You just allow the enemies in the mind to react to stress. It's hard to lead the way. Crazy Horse valued freedom. He took the fight to the enemy, to fight for what was important to him. So you have to consciously define the goals that are important to you. And you lead this process by observing the mind, from that base of awareness. So you can notice when you're getting off track, so you can do some course corrections to guide yourself toward those goals that are important for you. So you do this by directing your attention toward those goals, by being intentional. You choose to focus your attention in the direction of inspiring goals. This increases your freedom because your attention is freed. And with free attention, you can serve the world better. Use the 4 leadership principles from Crazy Horse to develop an appropriate relationship with the mind. 1. Know yourself. Your essence is awareness. 2. Know your friends. You connect with inspiration, curiosity, and intuition. 3. Know your enemies. You don't react to stressors because you're conscious of the mind's comfort-based motivation. You guide it toward your goals. 4. Lead the way. You're intentional by directing your attention. This helps process yourself through stressful experiences toward your goals. You've created an appropriate relationship with your mind through self-leadership. Self-leadership frees attention. This is a truer expression of freedom. And with more freedom, you can contribute to what life expects from you. If you're not conscious of the mind's limiting tendencies, then you'll fall victim to them. Therefore, it's important to create an appropriate relationship with the mind through self-leadership. Lead the mind where you want it to go, meaning where you want to focus your attention. And you can use Crazy Horse's 4 leadership principles to do this. Here's the drill. 1. Know yourself. Your essence is awareness. Apply the unmoved mind of awareness by stepping back. This expands perception. 2. Know your friends. Identify what inspires you. Follow it with curiosity. Stay tuned in to your intuition. 3. Know your enemies. Set clear goals. Notice how your mind reacts to stress. 4. Lead the way. Be intentional. Use the flexible, agile mind of attention to respond. Do this by redirecting your attention to the task. You'll know the mind better through these 4 leadership principles of Crazy Horse. You'll create an appropriate relationship with the mind so it can work better for you. And with a mind that works for you, then you can apply yourself toward serving the world better.